Hello, caregivers. Are you like me and in total shock that it's already time for the holidays? Back before Halloween, I was in a store with my 4-year-old niece, and we were walking up and down the Halloween aisles, and we came to the next aisle, and it was Christmas trees. And even her 4-year-old, lovely little self pulled up short and stopped and said, "Christmas trees? It's not time for Christmas trees. It's time for Halloween." And she was not wrong. So what are you going to do? Anyway, it is time for the holidays. It is coming up fast. And we do have to kind of be prepared. It seems like, for me, it feels hard that we have to feel like we have to be prepared for something that is so joyous, yet also stressful. So I just wanted to share some thoughts about the holidays and how to prepare and how to be thoughtful and kind of how to thrive throughout them. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So in case you don't know, I am Dr. Lisa Baker, geropsychologist and dementia coach, and caregivers are my heart. And so here I am. All right, let's get started. Here we go. All right, so caregiving through the holidays. First, you must manage those expectations. I mean, what is it that Shakespeare said? Expectation is the root of heartache. And so you really need to manage your expectations, your family's, even those of your loved one with dementia. As you're making plans, think through what's going to be realistic, what's going to be enjoyable for you, what's manageable, what's doable, and focus on that. With the holidays, we often have lots of traditions, and we might have an expectation of how it's been in the past and how it should be. But I really want you to give yourself permission to let go of any rigid expectations and be willing to redefine what makes a good holiday together. Allow yourself to create new traditions if some of the usual things feel like too much. You kind of have to look at it through the lens of, what's it going to be like for someone who's living with dementia. So for example, if you've always attended the Christmas Eve candlelight service, but now you know that crowds are hard for your loved one, late evenings are hard for your loved one, then you might want to look for an alternative. See if there's a morning Christmas Eve service. I know that our church has multiple services during the day. Do you need to create a candlelight service at home, your own version of it? What can you do to adapt and adjust? And really, you can assume that with the holidays, the unexpected is going to happen. So really just preparing yourself to be flexible, go with the flow, and to really focus on the big picture, that everyone is enjoying themselves and that they're together. Those are the most important things. And so if it's upsetting or it's stressful, it's okay to think about if it's time to let it go. Really, you just want to keep it manageable. And so as you're considering different events through the holiday season, here are some questions to consider. Can you look ahead and anticipate what will drain you of your time, energy, patience, and any other resources? And can you make accommodations to minimize that drain? If being responsible for cooking and hosting a meal is going to be too much, can you make it a potluck? Can you ask someone else to host? If doing something in the evening is too difficult, can you schedule for earlier in the day instead? In my own family, the last 2 years, we've opted for Christmas brunches because that just works better for everyone involved. And so, we've all made the adjustment. The focus is that we're together, not so much the time of day or the food that we're eating, but that we're relaxed and having fun and not stressed. So if, another consideration is if like having everyone together is too overstimulating, can you break that down into smaller gatherings? And can you build quiet time into a gathering for your loved ones? And think about what other people need to know about your loved one with dementia. How has your loved one changed since the last time the people that you're going to be with have seen them? Can you give them a cheat sheet or a few tips ahead of time to just kind of give them a heads up on what would make the day go more smoothly? Think through the traditions that are really important to you. Pick one or two that you really want to focus on, and think about how you can make those happen, even if they require some adjustment. What's the spirit of those traditions and what can really bring that out? And where do you need to really remind yourself to let go of, what isn't strictly necessary? What do you really need to focus on to capture the spirit of the holidays so it doesn't get lost in the stress? And basically, just where can you simplify as much as possible? In terms of cooking, can you make it a potluck? Can you ask someone else to host? Can you get takeout? Can you ask for gift cards to restaurants? For gifts, can you ask to do a drawing this year so that you're not responsible for gifts for everyone? Can you make a family gift, like one gift that everyone receives? One year, my husband and I, we found the old 35 millimeter. I have no idea. I could be getting that wrong. The old film reels, like actual film reels of video. And we got them put on DVD, and that was the gift for everyone that year. And we had a lovely time sitting after we opened them to watch and reminisce. What can you do to simplify the gift process? For decorating, do you need to pare it down? I know in stressful years of my life, there was one year that Christmas decor was a bowl of my favorite ornaments on the coffee table. It still made me happy throughout the season to see them, and I just really spared myself all the rest of the stress. In terms of activities and events, accept invitations for what you think you will enjoy, but allow yourself to say no to all the things that seem like they'd be too stressful or too difficult. And the holidays are often a time of visits and visiting, which can also come with a lot of stress. It's okay to turn down invitations or to tell others that it's not a good time. Even if they show up on your doorstep, it's okay to tell them it's just not a good time. And if you're used to hosting, to simplify that, instead of having them come for a meal, having them come for dessert, cookies and coffee, or just having them come for a visit, where you don't need to serve anything. And it's okay that if a visit is going on too long and your loved one is getting agitated or tired, it's okay to cut it short. That it's okay to really take care of yourself. To really focus on what is the most meaningful and what is worthy of your time and your energy. And so as you're making plans throughout the holidays, think about how each event is going to impact your loved one with dementia. If they have a set routine, do your best to work within that. If they always take a nap, try to make sure that they have the time to take it. Think about what time of day is easiest for them and avoid scheduling for when they're going to be agitated or upset. If they don't do well with change or new situations, which is very common, try to have more things happening in familiar territory, or try to not have a day that's too jam-packed. Like, you have to build in quiet time, downtime, recovery time. It's also okay to consider having someone come sit with them so that you can go out to attend holiday events. And if your loved one is in a nursing home, it might be too much for them to leave that environment. And it's okay to consider finding ways to enjoy the holidays there with them. Also, have a plan for how you can handle if your loved one does get overstimulated or agitated. If you're hosting at home, is there a quiet space you can take them to, or a soothing object or snack or something that you can give to them, a song you can play? Can you prepare loved ones and visitors ahead of time that they might need to leave if your loved one gets too upset? And if you're visiting other people, can you ask ahead of time for a quiet space for your loved one should they get kind of overwhelmed while you're on a visit? And if you're doing any traveling, so especially like the airport, that's a very overwhelming environment, and during the holidays especially. So can you kind of be on the lookout for a family bathroom where you can just go and have a quiet space for a moment, just to do some deep breath together, to listen to a song together, just to be away from crowds together, but to really think that through and to have a plan as much as you can. Even if you're not traveling by air, if you're traveling by car, or even if you're just leaving the house and that's not something that you do so often, you really want to kind of be prepared to need to build in quiet time, that recovery time, and to have, all your best anxiety soothing tools, as they're in an unfamiliar space. If you're staying in a hotel, if normally you'd stay in separate rooms, do you need to stay in the same room? What do you need to do to make it so that they are not overwhelmed? Just basically thinking about their endurance and energy level, like what can they handle? And so in all of your plans, be willing to be flexible, and don't be afraid to ask for flexibility from others. This is something that's just going to make your holidays easier all around. And beyond thinking about how to adjust to and consider and accommodate their dementia, I really want to encourage you to look for ways to experience joy in your holiday together with your loved one. Yes, it will be very likely to be different from holidays past, but there's still so much love, joy, and togetherness to be experienced. Really look for ways to include them in the merrymaking. Musical memory often lingers when other types of memory have faded, so incorporate music that they're familiar with. Sing with them. If cooking a whole meal together is out of bounds, can they help you decorate cookies or a gingerbread house? Can they be in the kitchen while other people are cooking, and can they be given kind of a helping role, whether it's a basket of kitchen towels to fold, if that's what they can handle? Can you ask for their opinion, ask them to taste things, or whatever would just help them to feel included and engaged? With choosing gifts, can they look through a catalog with you or look online at gifts to help you choose things? Can they direct where ornaments should be hung? Often older memories last longer than new memories, and so if they still have access to stories from their past, asking them to share those stories, asking them about favorite memories. And if that's too much for them, just quietly looking at photo albums together. Can you start a new tradition together, of eating cookies and looking at a photo album, or having hot chocolate while you listen to Christmas music? How can elements of what they enjoyed in the past be incorporated today? And so again, if others have not seen them in a while, you want to prepare them for changes, in their abilities, their behaviors, their appearance, just to kind of set everyone up for success. And when you're having that conversation, you can also ask them for ideas on how to, include your loved one in holiday festivities, and to directly ask them for help. And on the subject of help, if you're, wanting to do any kind of scheduled formal respite, just recommend that you schedule it as early as possible, because this is the busiest time of year. Um, and if anyone offers you help of any kind, accept it. And even if they offer you that vague type of help that says, if there's anything I can do, let me know. This is a year-round tip, but especially for this time of year. Always kind of have a couple of ideas at the front of your mind that if someone offers you this vague kind of help, you're ready, and so if someone says that, say, hey, you know what, actually, it would be a huge help if you could come sit with my mom for a couple hours so I can go Christmas shopping. Or, if I could send you like a grocery list, if you could go to the store for me, that would really help. Or, I've really been wanting to bake some cookies. Could you come over and help me, do that together with my mom, or like, just hang out with us, or like whatever it is, just really whatever it is. And if you're used to being the strong one who takes care of other people, which a lot of caregivers identify with, because usually like you have other family members, but you're the one that is doing the work. Asking for help might not quite feel right. And so, I just really encourage you to push through that, to be bold, ask for specific help don't wait for them to ask for help from family, friends, neighbors, church community. If that doesn't feel comfortable, like reaching out to community organizations, seeing if there's any volunteers that could help during the holidays, or if they know of any programs that could offer you some support. You might find that during the holidays, people are more community minded and more ready to help. You can also consider utilizing a home health aide or an adult day program, and you can also contact your local, if you're in the US, area agency on aging for information on different types of support in your area, and they might also have information on helping with the cost of respite if that is outside your budget. But really, I want you to know that asking for help is not weakness. If you're used to being the strong one, it's not a weakness to need help. It's not you being a burden. Caregiving is hard. It's too much for one person. It's too much to go alone. You need to ask for help. And so when talking to the people closest to you, they might not understand what it's like for you. Unless someone has spent all day, every day in your shoes, they really don't know what it's like, especially if you've had the experience where you go somewhere and your loved one, is kind of able to pull it together and cover for that brief social interaction. The social appropriateness is able to kind of take over, and they can seem a lot more kind of okay than they are. I've had so many caregivers complain like that. If one more person says like, oh, they seem like they're doing so well, like I'm just going to punch them in the nose. Unless someone is really walking your shoes, they really don't know what it's like for you. And so do your best to, I know that it's a vulnerable thing that I'm suggesting, but to really let other people know what it's like for you and what you need. And if family hasn't been involved, or they haven't been supportive, they don't know what's going on with you, when you do go to do holiday things, they might be resistant. They might need help knowing what changes need to be made. And they want things to be the way they've always been, and so they might be resistant. And so if it's going to be an emotional conversation when you try to talk to them, try to stick to the facts of what is happening, what's been difficult, And don't allow yourself to be guilted into more than you can handle. Guilt is for when you've done something wrong. Just because you can't cope with a huge family party because of the stress it would put on you, you haven't done anything wrong. Like, that's just